Talking with NoMo. Talking with NoMo. Step in the room, let's go. Got that spark, got that flow. Quick guitar, real talk. Every word on the mark. Lean close, hear that name every time. Bring the flame, one more round, let it show. Talking with NoMo.
I have with me today Miss Amy Pritchett, who is one of our sitting school board members here in Marshall County, and she is running for re-election. I'd like to introduce you to her. So, Amy, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you, your campaign, and what's going on?
Well, sure. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
I am in my fourth year of my first term. I was elected in 2022. My platform was to improve our reading scores, to remain fiscally conservative, to keep taxes as low as possible, which we have accomplished, and to bring up our rating, our district rating. And I'm happy to say that we finally got our A rating back after 7 years. We accomplished that during the third year of my term. Since 2022, our reading scores have gone from 53 to 65%, which isn't something to brag about, but it is something to say we have improved our reading scores. There's way more to do, and I'm ready to do that. And we have gone from 12 C schools or lower to only 4 C schools in the past 4 years. So I'm very proud of that, and I can say that my platform is well underway.
Well, that's good. I'd like to add to that for a second, if I may. Are you
Absolutely.
okay? I think you've got a lot of work cut out for you because I did a little homework since our talk yesterday and today, and I have found that Florida is actually ranked number 5 in the United States in terms of other states in education.
Well, I'm giving you that information from Niche, which is a national education ranking system that the district has been using for the past several years. So I understand that there may be a point or two one way or the other, but I am confident that Niche has us at 4,
Okay.
and I don't know if that's the one you used or not.
Actually, I was looking at U.S. News and World Report has you at number 5. Wallet, let's see, Education Week has you at number 7, and NAEP performance scores have you in the top 10 nationally. My only point is, I'm not saying that's bad because I can remember a couple decades back, we were way down the list in terms of national rankings. And when I say you've got your work cut out for you, if you're sitting at number 4 or number 5, that's going to be harder to get to number 1 than it is to go from 49 to 33. So I'm just saying
Right.
it's a good problem to have. How do you feel about the scoring structure that they use? Are there improvements on those things that you think should take place to be more accurate? You've been in the mix with it.
Well, yeah, and we've touched upon it before. We've got children who may not be at the place we want them to be, and we have to figure out ways to adapt the scoring to capture what they are improving on, because their improvement goes at a slower rate than, say, the average English speaking student.
Okay,
So
so you're talking about the C's, the 2C and the 2D schools. The 2D schools you brought up to we brought up to C's, correct?
yes, so right now it's 4 elementary schools. It's Port Salerno, J.D. Parker, Warfield, and Pinewood.
Okay.
And I can tell you, and I think you're aware, that each of those schools contains a way more diverse population than the other, like Bessie Creek, Crystal Lake, Citrus Grove, Palm City Elementary, Jensen Beach Elementary, Fowey, which is Felix A. Williams. Those schools have predominantly English speaking students in them, a much less amount. And that isn't to say that if you don't speak English, you can't learn. What it's saying is that we have to find better ways to bring those children up to the same speed as the other children. And that comes with more individualized sessions. It comes with more efficient ways of getting to them. Just everything, everything curriculum related has somewhat of like, you have to fit in this box. We're being more creative and we're breaking that box open and saying, wait a second, we can come in this way or we can come in that way. Maybe it requires what I was talking about is the individualized as opposed to collective, smaller groups, and then within those groups honing in on the kids who are really kind of lagging and giving them more than the other students to catch them up.
Now, it seems to me that there'd be a little bit of a little extra attention that would need to be given, but it's not because of the inability of the students
No, not at
to
all.
learn or that they're stupid or that they're
Nope.
ignorant in any way. It's just that when you stop and think about it, if you are a child that is in, let's say, Bessie Creek, you're going to be what age range at that point?
Bessie Creek, they start them at 5 years old, but they
Okay.
also have the pre-K, which could start at 4.
Okay, and they go up to how
They
old?
go up to fifth grade.
Fifth grade. Okay, so here you have a group of kids that have only known one language their entire life. They're brought into an English environment and they're told that they have to take an English test. And that's how you, the school board, are scored is on their English results of the test that they have to take for the state qualification, correct?
Right. And let me
Okay.
add, I want to add something is that recently, this past year, we've partnered with Audio Enhancement, which is a company that gives the child in their language the curriculum and they then understand it and can answer in their own language. So they have a set of headphones that is giving them the lesson in their language, which helps
Interesting.
a great deal as opposed to, having the teacher have to speak or getting a para in there who speaks the language. The kids are getting it right there when all the other kids are getting it. So the teacher's up in front of the classroom. She's giving the lesson. The students are all hearing it at the same time, but they're hearing it in their language.
Interesting. Interesting. Doesn't seem like it would reinforce their language learning skills, but
No, but it would.
that's a whole other course. What do you think of the European model on this? I mean, European model, most of those nations require English as a second language. I think if I've often wondered why the United States doesn't at least require a second language in order to graduate.
Well, that's a good question, and I would relate you to the mandates of the state and what we are required to do. And I believe that the state does not have that in its model for the districts to conform to.
Can a school board set the bar higher than what the state does as long as you meet their compliancy?
Of course, of
Okay.
course.
All right. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of intricacies with the government and the state interactions, especially with the school board. They have a lot of control over what you guys do. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. So we are getting people, students are coming along in their education. That's good. Let's talk a little bit about some of the financial aspects of what's going on.
Sure.
One of my big gripes has always been we don't pay teachers enough, and teachers are always asking for money to get supplies for their room. Help clear this up for me. How is this? I've seen some of the salaries that these teachers are paid. They don't work all year long. I know they've got to keep continuing education. And why isn't the school system giving them the supplies that they need for their room that they have to put out GoFundMe's for them?
Well, I can tell you, and I'm being completely transparent here. For the
Oh,
past
please, please.
several years, we have, at the school's expense, put out lists of your typical supplies that students need, and each of the schools is supplied with those, with not only the list, but the supplies themselves, so the students don't have to buy them. And the teachers have the extras that they want, in addition to what notebooks, pens, pencils, crayons, the standard things, the 3-ring binders, the paper that goes in the 3-ring binders, the folders. We've all supplied that, and they are still saying that it isn't enough. So I think you may be getting, I won't say inaccurate information, but not being told the whole
Oh
story.
no, I'm not being told a story. I'm hearing it for the first time. It's perception on my part because it shows up in your social media feeds,
Of course it does.
and you're always hearing teachers talking about, especially the union, how we're underpaid and yada yada yada. And I'm sorry, but I look at the salaries that are there, and there's a lot of people that wish they had them.
Well, I will tell you, and I've said this from the beginning, so I will not change my mind on this, but I've applied for many jobs in my lifetime, and one of the things that you do is you look at the salary and you decide whether or not you can accept it or not.
Right.
And if you take the job thinking that somehow miraculously in the next year or 5 years, your salary is going to be so much better, then maybe you're not being realistic. Our salary is $53,100 for a starting teacher now. It's the highest on the Treasure Coast. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that. I don't.
Who goes and takes a job and says, "Ah, I'll take it, but you know what? Next year I'm going to gripe about the salary and say I'm not being paid enough." I don't get that. I feel very strongly that teachers are valuable. They do a wonderful job, but they know going in that the salary is not top notch. They just don't. And waving a magic wand or saying I don't get paid enough. People say that all the time about their jobs that they are doing that aren't teachers.
Right. So go make more money. I guess I don't know. I'm trying to clear the air on it because I'm tired of hearing the argument. I've seen some of the numbers that are out there and the hours that are worked and what it actually works out to. If that 51 was over a 12-month period, I'd say okay. You know,
Well, I understand what you're saying there, but are they also have off from, June 30th to August 11th every year.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's okay. It's something that I hear, and I just wanted to kind of see what the
And
facts
when
were on it.
someone says to me, I don't have enough money to pay my mortgage, well, I want to know how you thought that accepting that salary was going to pay your mortgage to begin with,
Yeah.
right? Do you
Right.
buy a house and then get a job, or do you get a job and then buy a house?
Yeah, things are definitely different these days than when you and I were
And
were
I'm not
having to come up through it.
I'm
It-
not
it-
being facetious.
no,
I'm
you're
just
not.
saying you need to be real. You need to be able to make a financial decision based upon the money that you need to live your life.
I agree.
If you're renting, if you're mortgaging, I see a lot of people, not teachers, but other people who can barely pay their mortgage that are driving BMWs, that are that have the brand new
Hmm.
up to the minute cell phone. People have to make choices, Eric.
Yeah, priorities. It is all about priorities, financial and otherwise. I agree with you. And speaking of priorities, let's talk about something that nobody's ever had to deal with before. AI data centers,
Yeah, and
hyper scale data centers. I heard you ask some questions at one of the joint meetings between the municipalities. And I kind of sensed a little bit of concern in your voice and even suspicion as to what in the heck is going on. Indiantown right now has, at the moment, we've been able to at least postpone one of the proposals. We have one that's really on the burner right now with FPL. Another that is sitting at the other end of town that looks like it's making progress called Project Growler. And then there's a fourth AI data center. Now, these aren't small buildings. These are 2.5 to 4 million square foot data center buildings that produce a lot of environmental noise, a lot of environmental impact, potential environment issues. And one of the environmental issues is something called infrasound. Infrasound is that spectrum below the audible range of sound on the lower end. And these data centers produce this sound 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's inaudible. The problem is that science is finding that the waves from the sound as they go through the body are starting to break down the mitochondrial aspects of the cellular structure. They're looking at potential bone issues as well as sleep deprivation, psychological, physiological. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And constant exposure by one of your schools to one of these data centers puts children in an 8 hour plus a day, plus staff in a position that they're being hit by the heat island effect that come from these, the infrasound, et cetera, et cetera. So that being what it is, I don't believe that the board or the district has looked into the potential health impacts at this point. Maybe you have. I'd like to know. If you haven't, I would like to encourage you to look further as a district as to what's going on with these, because there are potential health risks for the children that sit in these schools.
So I've already put that effort forth,
Good.
and I assure you that it will be a discussion. We can't ignore health of our children, of our staff, of our personnel, of the community.
Yeah.
We have community coming into our schools as well. So this is an issue that must be addressed. And I'm giving you my, I'm being fair here. This was not something I was aware of. And once I was made aware of it, I put the question forth to one of our district personnel who is going to make sure that we get this topic on a future agenda.
I would love to know when that's going to take place, either one, to be in the audience, or two, to be able to contribute some data that you and the board can look at.
I'm happy to do that. Like I said, I am very much invested in
Yeah.
this, and I want our kids to be safe.
How
And
do, yeah,
go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. I'm sorry. No, it's okay. I agree with you.
No,
I
I
want to,
just
I do too. And it concerns me that there's more of and I'm not going to bring you into a development issue here, but there's more of a development push than there is a concern for the health, safety, and welfare of the public right now. And that's because Indiantown is a failing municipality that needs money, and they're looking at this as a gold rush. And I'm afraid they're selling out other aspects of this. I know they are, as a matter of fact, before we get to that. So I'm looking for some help to protect the
sure. And
populace and the kids.
I'm reading as much as I can, and what I'm seeing, at least in Florida, is all over Florida. They're talking about this, and they're finding ways to not have these data centers in their counties.
Yeah.
So this isn't like a one-off. This is a crucial development that's happening in the state of Florida. And, I also know that Virginia is the big hub for data centers.
Yep.
That's where all the data centers are.
Yep.
And I am sure now, with all of this coming down the pike, that they are going to be looking at this as well, because, we can't have another health crisis coming down the pike for our
Oh,
kids.
oh, it's not only for the kids, it's for the people. Loudon, Virginia is what you're speaking of. And Loudon,
Yes,
Virginia started several years back, actually 20 years back, bringing in what are called real data centers. They're small 50,000, 100,000 square foot buildings that don't have the same energy load capacity, environmental impact, health issues, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what they ended up doing, because their code was so weak, and they said, well, we allow data centers. In 2025, we started to see these things called hyperscale data centers. These are the
right.
ones that are using just enormous amounts of power and taking enormous millions of square feet under air. And what it takes to keep them cool, et cetera, is creating environmental impacts. Now, Loudon, Virginia has gone and they have actually scrapped their old code. They have re-implemented now a special what they call it, an SPX, a special zoning overlay that people have to qualify for now, because they are running into health issues. They are running into complaints from everybody. They are running out of power. So it is a real issue, and we have an opportunity to stay in front of it. So I encourage you and everyone else on that board, please stay up to date with it, because it is real. It's very
Yeah, I
real.
mean, I feel like as much information as we can possibly get should be afforded us before we make any decisions.
Great. I'm happy
So,
to make a presentation if you'd like.
okay.
Let's stay on AI for a second and transition over just to how do you see AI starting to work in education with the kids? How do we weave the tool without, again, this harming the safety of the children psychologically?
Well, I think that it can be a wonderful tool, but I think we have to, like everything else, be moderate. My approach is always a moderate approach. I'm not full throttle on anything. I think we take it a little bit at a time. We make sure that it is benefiting them and it is not something that's being used in place of learning. I feel very strongly that, for instance, you have a student writing a paper. They feed into the platform all of their points, what they want said, uh, description, etc., etc. And then they feed it in and ask for it to be developed into, my language, my words, but make sure I've done all of the things I need to do to make sure it's a complete finished product, but it's all in my words. And that's the key that I feel about AI. It has
Hmm.
to be our words, not, I want to write a song and I wanted to talk about daisies. And then suddenly there's a song about daisies and nothing about it has anything to do with what the person said.
Exactly.
It's so for me, it's a total moderate and cautionary and see if it is doing what it is supposed to be doing, not replacing our own thoughts and words. And that's kind of what I believe our district is doing. Because, first of all, the AI tools that we are using are more for the teachers, not for the students. The students, when they leave the school, obviously they can, use it however they like. But in our learning environment, the AI tools are merely to help a student give a finished product in their own words.
Gotcha. Good. Good. All right. Well, that too. I mean, with the AI coming online, we touched on this a little bit. We have like 7 minutes left here. But
Okay.
the tech school that you have in Indiantown, that to me is an awesome project that you have going on out there. It fits with this whole AI onslaught that's coming, because they're estimating 40% of all administrative white collar, I mean, attorneys, paralegals, all kinds of people are just going to be losing their jobs to this technology that can do their job quicker and better and more accurate than they can. So the technical side of things in terms of computer programming. Used to be 30 years ago. Now it's programming your hammer and nail, your wrench, your saw, and what's needed to actually build the infrastructure that we need to live in. Those people, plumbers, look at plumbers. Plumbers rates these days $150 an hour and up. There's nothing that's disrespectful about that rate.
That's why I love the fact that we have such strong career technical education programs in our district.
Amen.
You could be a vet tech, you could be a nurse, and we're expanding the nursing. So before it was a CN, now you can possibly do RN. We're partnering with IRSC to graduate kids earlier if they like, if that's the path they choose. They can get an associate's degree along with their high school diploma. But for the students who don't want to go to college, they can get right into the workforce and be making that money that you're talking about.
Yeah,
And
it's
not
awesome.
have student debt.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, not everybody needs a higher education, and higher education doesn't need everybody. So it's
No.
there's a place for us all.
And I kind of object to the word higher education because, yes, it's higher than high school, but is it bringing you to where you want to be truly?
Oh yeah. No, I say it just as in the same terms. It's 13 through on up. It's not K through 12, so it's higher. All right, we have just a few minutes left. I'm going to let you have the floor. Let people know what you want them to know, how to find you, what's going on, and hopefully we can check back because I know there's more we still need to talk about. So it's all you.
Sure. So my website is amypritchett.com. I'm on Facebook as well in my name, Amy Pritchett, but also reelect Amy Pritchett for Martin County School Board. My phone number, 845-671-0125. And truly, I want to continue what we started. I don't want to look back. I don't want to go back to what we were because we've moved so far ahead. Our progress has been amazing. I'd also like to share with you, Eric, that this past board meeting, we approved cuts in our staffing to some of that higher senior level that have left the district. We're rehiring people at a different salary and a different title. And it's amounted to a $3.9 million cut in our budget.
Well done.
On staffing.
Well done.
So to put it into perspective, when I came on, we had 5 assistant superintendents. We now have 1. And we are hiring a new chief financial officer whose title was assistant superintendent. It's now going to be chief financial officer or a director position. So we are looking at ways to what I would call Doge, and I think we've done a really good job of it. And our taxes for this year on the line item for the school is a little less than it was last time. So I'm proud of that as well. And I attribute that to working together toward the superintendent's vision of having financial conservancy, getting the best staff, having teachers have a salary. We're trying every year to make it higher, but we're also looking at ways to supplement healthcare as well for our teachers and our staff. Nice. And I believe that I'm doing all the things that I said I would do.
Fantastic. Well, Amy, listen, you take a lot of heat a lot of times, sometimes even for me, and I respect you for standing there and taking it, 1, and 2, always having an answer as to why you've done something that you've done. We may not always agree, but I do appreciate you being there. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to other people to know that somebody that actually gives a damn is actually doing something with their time. So thank you, and I wish you luck in the campaign. My door is always open. You know that. You are welcome to come back. We can do another one of these before we get to voting time, or 2 if you want. If there's something you need to update us about, let me know.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, Amy.
Have a great day.
You do the same. Bye-bye.
Talking with NoMo. Talking with NoMo. Step in the room, let's go. Got that spark, got that flow. it talk, real talk, every word on the mark. Lean close, hear that name every time. Bring the flame, one more round, let it show. Talking with NoMo.